Good afternoon. This is YourTown Television. My name's Thomas Hood. I'm your host today. And we're going to have a conversation today with a close friend of mine. He's a household name in a lot of different circles, and I think you're going to enjoy our conversation today. I'm here with Tom Gundelfinger O'Neal, photographer and storyteller. Okay, so much for being formal.
Hey.
How long's it been? I don't know, about 6 months we've been talking about
We've been
together.
talking about this for a long time.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And whenever we get together, it's always, we start blah, blah, blah.
In our
blah.
last conversation, you had yet another gallery opening and yet another television interview. And I asked you, would you be willing to sit down and talk with me? And what ended up happening is people were lined up trying to get your autograph. And you and I went off on one of our many tangents that we do. Hopefully we can maybe give this a little bit of structure. But
Okay, we got to put that in perspective too, because that was at the Golden State Theater where I opened for the D.A. Pennybacker film. And so most of the people had gone there to see the film. However,
Monterey Pop.
Monterey Pop. And this was about less than a year ago. It was to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Monterey Pop, which is where my career started, along with so many people like Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin.
Yeah.
So when the film was over, I was in the lobby, and all of a sudden there was this line of people that wanted my autograph and wanted me to sign anything, and it was overwhelming. But you know, I was there, and I got to see some of these people, and my career started right then and there. You know,
it was just another little soundbite of your 15 minutes of fame, right?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
So,
all right. So by way of background, for those that don't know who you are, shame on them. But and we've known each other about what 10 going on. I thought about this morning. It's 13 years ago.
Yeah, at least, around that started.
That you were approached to shoot me.
Yeah.
And after about 10 minutes conversation, we found out that we actually had a common connection going back right before you came out to Monterey Pop.
Exactly.
With a common artist-architect in Chicago.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, Stanley Tigerman, who's just retiring after a fantastic career in architecture, and also he was head of the School of Architecture there at UIC. I just talked to him last year. A wonderful guy, and he lit the fires in my creative resource department somehow. And I was in college. I was not the easiest guy to contain, and somehow he tapped in.
And you went to Chicago to study art.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And
coming from Beverly Hills, where you grew up.
Yeah.
You decided I'm going to go to Chicago.
It was kind of like a little bit more of a circuitous route. But anyway, I ended up there for about 6 years. It was partly because my father was transferred in his company.
Okay, so Magical Mystery Tour. You end up in Chicago and decide to enroll in school at Illinois.
Yeah. And I had some great teachers. I was a fine art major, but Stanley Tigerman, he's still very much the inspiration that started it all for me. And anyway, so when I found out that here's this guy that I just honor so much, you knew, and you had a similar influence, and that connected us.
How that came about, and we're going to talk about this, off and on here for our time together, is you were looking to make a connection with me. I just moved down here from the Bay Area, and I'd been convinced that instead of showing my work in Carmel magazine, to show my face. And I said, okay, all right, let's do this. And you immediately started asking about who I am as an architect and a person.
Right.
And somehow we bounced into that.
This guy right here, I still have one of his books. And
that's what clicked. And we ended up shooting that afternoon and a couple of times after that.
But it was that connection that all of a sudden we had this bond that took away the extraneous stuff that can be in a photo session where people are thinking, oh my God, okay, how's this? How's the hair? How am I going to look? How is this guy going to capture me? How is he going to make me feel okay about my life when I see this picture?
So basically, I was on the receiving end of how you do this stuff.
You were there, and I had to build a trust with you, a sphere of trust, as fast as I could.
Right.
And I've been doing that my whole career. And so somehow...
With famous people, and then along the way you did me, which was a blast.
You're up there, man.
I have to say, and I know we're not going to show an image of that thing. It's now 12 years old. But you captured something about what I was trying to do with my work at the time. And you picked up on that. And coming down to the Monterey Peninsula, basically completely unknown, moving down from the Bay Area, For me, it was an exciting experience. For people that saw that photograph that I ended up working with in various versions for about 3 years, it was memorable for the people that read the magazine. And I give you a big chunk of the credit of the fact that I was actually able to launch my office down here because that one photograph sort of identified me that you captured that day. I don't know if I ever thanked you or not.
That was exactly
I think I
what I
pictured
wanted to
good,
do.
thank you.
You know, and
it was great.
And so,
which we did again just recently with Vance Killen.
Same thing. You know, every photograph has a message, has a story, and how do you something to tell. You know, I've always said you can take, particularly for a print ad, something like that, you can take a really beautiful photo. Great. But if it doesn't apply, and if there's no recall, and if it doesn't connect with what you're trying to sell or promote, then whoever is paying for that ad is wasting a lot of money. But the whole thing is to connect you with the way you are, who you are, with that person who, for maybe 2 seconds, is flipping pages and goes, oh, and then goes on. That's a success for me.
That lifespan, for example, in print media, if you get 2 seconds from a viewer, you're doing well. If you get 5 seconds, they've made some sort of connection.
Well, and you know, even in the beginning, I wanted to get into making album covers, and this came right about the time that Monterey Pop was here, because I wanted to have a way of people picking up an album and looking at it and feeling some kind of connection. You know, I've always thought whatever you do from here. And I always say, if you're going to create from the heart. But when you create from the heart, you can touch a heart. And I say that to my boys. That's a mantra of mine, you know. And it's Corazon. It's all down here. And that ties in with the enthusiasm and being present. All those things that when I am involved in a photo shoot just happen to come out. And some of it is intuitive and natural. Some I've just acquired as I've gotten older. But I think if there's any reason why I've had a wonderful career, it's due to the fact that I get into it. I'm there. I show people that I care. You know, there's a wonderful line.
50 years into it.
I'm still
you still
caring.
have that spark.
I still love it. The fires are still burning. You know, there's a great line that I heard not too long ago. Teddy Roosevelt said this, so it's been around for a while. And it's, nobody cares how much
you didn't photograph him, did you?
No, I would have loved with the mustache, but he would have been a great photo shoot, by the way.
Yeah.
But nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And that is the key. People like to work with people they like. You might want to write that down.
I'll steal that.
But that's one of my favorite things. And I show people I care, because I do. You know, I have a way of getting into the moment, being totally present. And there are, you know, the glass is always half full. Look for the positive, relate to it, show them that you care about who they are.
Now, does this come from your roots in Beverly Hills, working under Targum and going to Monterey Pop? When you're talking about working from the heart, you were probably the same way when you were a kid, and people have said that you basically have this childlike enthusiasm. Right?
Yeah, that's the way I've
So
been.
it's probably coming from your parents, from something way back, because you didn't go to school to learn how to be in the moment.
No.
There's just got to be a spark there.
No.
Well, let's take a look at this,
Well,
this first image you got.
There's a perfect example of, of showing you care. This is a shot of B.B. King, and it was for an album cover that I did back around 1972. And the record company asked me to go up to Las Vegas, connect with him at the Aladdin, and make a photo for an album. Do an album cover for him. That was about it.
Okay.
There was no theme or anything like that. So I got to the Aladdin. It shows you how things worked then. This 72. I go to the front desk. B.B. King's room. Oh yeah, he's in this room. I pick it up. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Was it Mr. King at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, or was it Mr. Beebe?
No, I was just, hey, Beebe, this is Tom Gundelfinger. Hi, I'm here to take your picture for your album cover. And I didn't realize that he had been up all night into the morning playing in the wee hours like they do in Vegas. Right. And so he was just waking up. So he says, and he was pretty grumpy, and he says, well, I need some time. I'll be down. I got to get breakfast. I'll be down there in an hour. And I turned around, and I remember saying, oh, great, I woke him up. This is going to be really good. Anyway, he comes down. He's very nice. He gets in my rent-a-car, and we go out to the desert. And I've got my hair's down to about here. I've got a full beard. I've got bell bottoms with little flowers on them. All that crap that
Nice.
that hippy dippy hair and all that.
Hippie bling.
Yeah, and he's a different kind of person. That he's not your rock and roll guy. And so I had to find a way to relate to him. So one of the first shots, is I get him over, kind of just sitting like that and trying to get it, and he won't even really look at me. And I go, how can I do it? And so then with the going back to the first shot, he's still not looking at me. Right. But what made it was that I had done some of my homework, and I'd also heard about how Lucille, his guitar, got its name. So I literally looked at him and I said, if you named your guitar after a woman, that's got to be a really special guitar. And somehow that resonated and clicked.
So
and after that,
the beard and the bell bottoms, everything just kind
all of a
fell
sudden,
away.
we were two guys out in the desert having a good time.
Yeah.
And as you can see from the album cover, he got so relaxed, he fell asleep.
That definitely is a shot after a long night.
Yeah,
but he would not have made himself vulnerable like that. If
No,
if
that's
he didn't
trust.
you.
That's just it. He totally trusted me, and we had a wonderful time. And then the back cover, he goes out into Lake Meek there, and he's dancing all around. He did not want to go back to the Aladdin and play.
Something must have happened that he took a leap of faith, that he sees this sort of hippie photographer in the lobby. He's been up all night. He's like, oh God, we're going to go where? In this guy's rented car. And you're driving along in your Gremlin out to the desert, so there must have been a moment there where he goes, okay,
but and
it's not going to end badly.
And oddly enough, about 4 or 5 years ago, Lee Durley is a wonderful guy, a wonderful musician, songwriter, singer. I adore him. He goes to see BB with a photo from this photo session in 1972. This is maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years ago.
This is after Live at Cook County.
This is after
right
many
after.
albums and all that. Yeah. And so he shows him the picture, and BB says, oh, I remember that. I remember the photographer. I don't remember his name, but he was really nice. And he had a beard. So I got such a
Is he in prison now? What's he doing? Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that made me feel really good. Here, we'll go to another one here. Now, this is really recent. This is less than a year ago. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
that's Peyton Manning.
Yeah,
after
Peyton
his
Manning.
career.
Okay.
Sure.
So I was in Colorado Springs at the Broadmoor, and I was doing a photo shoot for one of my clients, and it involved doing a photo shoot with Peyton Manning. And I'd met him before, and he's a tremendous guy. So I was pretty excited that, hey, boom, we're gonna connect right away.
Right.
And this is the photo I got right away, and I realized, man, we are way off.
He basically looks like he showed up and. Okay,
he's not
what's
ready
next on
to
the
do
agenda?
what I need him to do, and he wouldn't be pleased at all with anything that I would have gotten after this. So I said, why don't you take a break for a moment?
Okay.
And there was a friend of his in the room, and they went over and they sat down, and with about 5 minutes he came back, and I got him to open up a little bit, and that was a shot I got. And the rest of the shoot, he was right there. A wonderful, wonderful guy.
So
extraordinary
you
person.
somehow, with all of these people, as you break through that outer shell, but
you've
you've got to do it quickly.
You have to. There's just, and then sometimes there's a bunch of them, that I have to win the trust of everybody.
I don't know if this is in your collection, but you mentioned somehow you had 2 minutes to photograph Arnold Palmer and Clint and a few other people.
Yeah, let's go over that. Yeah, that's
2 minutes. And these guys
this one right
rarely
here,
got together.
This is the first time that the owners of Pebble Beach at the time had ever been together in a group. Mm-hmm. And it was at their first board meeting at Casa Palmero. Mm-hmm. And I had been asked to come by and get this shot when the board meeting was over. And I get there, and the marketing person that had hired me came up and said, listen, Tom, we got a little bit of a problem. You literally have 2 minutes to get the photo. 2 minutes. Clint has to get back to LA for Space Cowboys. There's a plane waiting for him, all this kind of stuff. And you got to get it, no matter what. So I had a few minutes to gather my thoughts, and I knew they would be coming out. And I knew right away, but I looked at the light. The light is always, always key. And in this situation here, I wanted to backlight them. So I did not want them squinting, looking into the sun. And nothing is more frustrating than having to deal with a photo, particularly a portrait photo, and particularly of a group of people when they're looking into the sun. So I backlit them, and waited for them to come out. And now here's where the serendipity happens. So I kind of say, hi, guys, we got to get this right away. And Clint says, oh, great, I'm glad that we're being backlit. I always look so much better when I'm backlit. And they all started to laugh. And I went boom, 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 boom. There was my shot, just like that. And they were out of there.
2 minutes.
So, yeah. So unfortunately, I set a precedent, and Dick Ferris, who's right next there to Arnie Palmer, I did another similar photo shoot with Peter Uberoff and everybody, actually before Arnold Palmer passed away, best guy ever. And Dick Ferris said, this is going to be less than 10 minutes, right? And I did it in 7 minutes. And it was a very, very important photo session. And I did multiple combinations. So when I see these guys, they expect me to bang, done, that's it.
Well, at least when you had 2 minutes to shoot 4 guys, he didn't come back and say, you got 30 seconds now. You know,
well, yeah, and then you get,
doing the math.
you get, you know, like with these guys right here, okay, this group shot, 3 guys that yellow
3
out,
tenors,
the 3
yeah.
tenors, yeah. Well, I was told that I would have 20 minutes to photograph them. And it was at the San Jose Arena.
Okay.
There were 15,000 people in the arena waiting for them. They came in 5 minutes after they were supposed to come on. And literally, when they came in, their presence is so huge, and they come in and photographers, and all this stuff. And so I literally did the photo session in 3 minutes. And they were out of there. And they liked it so much, they made it an album cover. So, you know, something has to work. But how did I connect with them? Yeah. I did my homework. I asked a very close friend who had sung with all of them, Louis Leverich, who also lives here on the peninsula. What do I say to him? How do I connect with him? And he says, well, first of all, they don't care if you ever went to Italy. In fact, don't say very much. And I said, well, what do I call them? And he said, well, you call Placido Domingo Maestro, because he's a conductor. And the other 2 guys you refer to as Senor. So they come in, and they said also, do not rearrange them or they'll walk out. So they come in, Luciano Pavarotti puts his arms around the other 2 guys, and all of a sudden his big fingers are against the tuxedo, and his vest is spreading and all this, and it's an awful photograph. And so I look at Pavarotti and I go, excuse me, Maestro. And then all of a sudden Luciano looks over at Pavarotti and goes, so since when are you a maestro? And I go, you know what, to me, you're all maestros. And they go, sì, va bene. Boom, boom, boom. There was my shot. Session over.
Okay, this is going to be fun.
Connection.
With connection, yes. And you didn't even have to speak Italian. Well, in the last couple seconds here, what we're going to do in continuing this conversation is we're going to turn the clock back about 50 years, and we're going to talk more about other things that are going on.
Yeah.
You're with Tom Gundelfinger O'Neal and Thomas Hood. Stay tuned for our next section.